Hello, hello. Um, I don't know. Can you not hear me? Yeah, I was poking things. For some reason it didn't do its normal thing. And I was looking over there and hadn't spotted that it changed to expecting to hear me. Pretty much. Hopefully, you only had me for a few seconds before something happened. Anyway, um, so I was just puzzling because I worked most of 2/3 of a week of overtime last month and didn't get paid for it. Morning, everybody. So, and that works out to, well, money I wanted, though. Especially as I've just done a really, really long week. So, and my co-worker said something that doesn't make sense. My co-worker's basically said when he does overtime, he writes, let's say he works from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. He writes, I worked 8 in the morning till 8 at night, and then adds a second bit that says, because he's done, say, 4 hours overtime, that he's done 4 hours overtime. So you're double booking it. Because you've already read. Okay. That was probably some tiny minor me clicking the mouse. Hang on. Let me find a blank bit. Yeah, it was probably me clicking the mouse. My lips moved when I clicked the mouse. Whatever. But yeah, so, and I sent a message to my boss, who's supposed to be still working till 5, and it looks like he's not, he's locked off. So, that's not going to get sorted then. Not in a hurry. I've got a feeling he's off. I don't know if he's off work next week or not. To be honest, I don't keep track of them hard enough. But yeah, I've done a lot of extra work this week, and every day's been a 12-hour day except for today because, well, my co-worker who needed the help, well, he should be on a train by now, and I also am doing this, so, I mean, to be fair, I kind of finished my work Tuesday. A faux pas was then made, so I had to rebuild them. We'll rebuild one of my servers again because, well, he toasted it. But I've been helping him with his stuff because I've said this before, there is a part of me that was kind of like, I want to understand how your stuff works, mate. And he was like, yeah, great. And because he said it would take 3 weeks to make a cluster. And I'm kind of like, Dad, it can't take 3 weeks. I mean, I expected my bit to take longer. The fact that I managed to do it in a couple of days was because I'd done a lot of prepping. Now, I know he's done a lot of prepping, but I still think there's making mountains out of molehills. And there's certainly stretching. But I ought to warn you, I've got stomachache. I don't quite know why. Nothing major, but it does hurt a bit. I mean, if I was a kid, I'd be grizzly kind of thing. So, I think I know what the problem is. I'll be honest with the world. As a child, everyone thought I was allergic to peanuts. It always made me spew. As an adult, peanuts do not make me spew. In fact, I can eat plenty of peanuts. I don't overly like peanuts, but I quite like some peanut butter, because that was how I found out as a kid. I was going to a music lesson and my mother grabbed some sandwiches from the event we'd been at and gave me some stuff, and it was not supposed to be too bad. So I just turned the mic down a little bit too much then because it kept blowing out. There you go, try that. And she says she got some sandwiches and, well, there was supposed to be Marmite. Now, for those of you who may not know what Marmite is it's either something you love or something you hate with all your soul. I love it. So there was me munching a couple of these infinitely small wafer-thin sandwiches in the car with my dad on the way to my music lesson. Well, one of them wasn't Marmite. And I almost literally insta-spewed it all over his car. Very unpopular. And we attributed it, because half the offending sandwich had not been in, to the fact that it was peanuts. And that maybe I was either allergic or, you know, something. Because it wasn't just because it was different, it just made me spew. Well, I quite like peanut brittle, but that's normally because of the ratio of peanut brittle. For those who aren't entirely sure, peanut brittle is peanuts that basically you put on peanuts on a tray and pour over melted sugar. And then it sets. And then you break it into chunks. So there is a considerable amount of melted sugar and some peanuts. Well, the stuff I bought, because in the picture it looked like a good ratio, didn't come out like the picture. It is a bit like each peanut got a spray can of sugar, just about enough to hold them together. So it is 90% peanut and not a lot of sugar. And I've eaten quite a fair few, to be honest, over the course of a couple of days. But I did have quite a few for breakfast this morning because, well, it's been a long time and I needed some energy. So I munched on quite a good handful of peanut brittle bits. Got a feeling it's the peanuts. Because when they arrived and I ate a bunch and then went, right, that's enough of that because now I don't feel so great. But I put it down to it being late and tired and no, I think it's the peanuts. I am confident it's the peanuts. I mean, I did eat them a while ago, to be honest. I was going to say it must have been 4 or 5 hours ago. But they've now got to the processing department and yeah, don't think it likes peanuts. Oh well. So if I don't know how today will go, because obviously I may have to pause to go deal with not dealing with peanuts. Anyway, it is time to make some lace. As always, after the week I've had, I was really not I am feeling a bit more awake today. This time yesterday, I was dead. Mind you, this time Wednesday, we thought tomorrow was Friday, so that's how this week's gone. Mind you, I also thought it was, I thought it was later, so, but, where's my magic button? There it is. Well, I haven't lined everything up very well, have I? Hang on. Let me move everything around a little bit. Now, I must have moved the camera somehow, because that's not straight at all. Let's do a bit of that. There you go, it's a bit better. And I can break forward a little bit for me, that'd be good. Right, still stable, that's good. Right, where are we at? We're pretty at a good spot. We can do a bit more to this side there. So yeah, I haven't fixed how floppy my microphone is, so sorry if I ever touch it, it will make lots of noises. I don't know how it becomes wobbly, because to the most part, all I do is move like the arm slightly, but the screw that holds the horseshoe that holds the mic, oh, I'm getting a good headache as well, is excessively wobbly, actually. I think it's in danger of falling off. The problem is, with the mic in it, you can't really get a screwdriver to the bit that allows you to tighten it, because of course it pivots around the microphone, and even though I've got a screwdriver, it was around here earlier, there it is, I've got a screwdriver, look, dink, you can't get enough of it up to... Let me see if I can do this. Hang on. I will go quiet for a second. Hang on. There we go. There we go. The mic isn't all wobbly now, so that's a good thing. Right. Because I know, I don't think it was wobbly enough that it could fall off, but at the same time, in my head, it was. And didn't need that, so now it's all sorted. Thank you for bearing with me on that one. Let me straighten my table out a bit, because we all know how good I am with unstraight table. Right. Somewhere in the middle of here is the bit I'm going to do. So, what have you all been up to this week? Did you do anything fun? Because I've been working and sleeping, and that's about as much as I got around to doing it. If you're in our Discord, you'll have seen that Flusenvy's done some really nice stuff. Let me turn that down slightly. Put that back up. There we go. Let's try that. So yeah, Flusenvy's been really busy, making lots of really pretty stuff. Lots of colours and pretties. I seem to be allergic to colours, I have to admit. Oh no, what happened, Christy? Tell us all, if you wish to share, obviously. You know, I'm not going to hold you at gunpoint until you do. Not that mean. It's kind of how I felt about work, to be honest. So I managed to get 2 weeks' work down in 2 days. So, hence I'm absolutely knackered. Because I didn't do it at a reasonable pace with reasonable care. Puppies are good at that. Yeah. Do not get me wrong, much as I love my doggies, doggies do dumb stuff like that. Well, I'm glad you got it all sorted. Do you have much stuff in a refrigerator or a freezer or anything that perished? Because over here, that's usually the killer when you've had a really long power cut. Is that all the stuff in your freezers started defrosting and... Yeah. The only trick I have for that is leave the light on in the room you're sleeping. That way when the power comes back, it wakes you up and you can go and do whatever, make sure everything's working and then go back to sleep. But yeah, power cuts suck. I mean, it's 2026. You know, we can put people on the moon, we can send rovers to Mars, but we can't keep the power going here. Kind of seems a bit wrong. Feels like, you know, we're not really thinking about what we're doing very well. Let's put you that way. Actually, let's put you back because I borrowed you. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Let's put you here. Put you over there. Now, 2, 1. You go there. We want you. Well, to be honest, when I moved to where I live, so this was basically 2000, although technically I moved here in 1999. But let's go with, it was the year 2000 and we used to get power cuts once or twice a week. And the general populace believed that it was due to the location of a certain thing within a 10-mile radius. Doesn't really wash, you know. We've got a few, you know, here in the UK, most areas have, yeah. Well, I think slow is usually the name of the game with all of them, because our lot aren't fast either. But they do have a bit more stuff that tends to tell them where the problem is. You know, because I remember I had a power cut last year, and it went off at like 11 in the morning, and actual people on site wasn't till nearly 11 PM in the afternoon, and it's kind of like, do you mind actually like kind of fix this? But it is kind of one of those weird things, is that over here, as I said, when I moved up here, the general populace around, you know, the area claimed that the reason we had frequent power cuts was because of a certain thing within a 10-mile radius. Except we have what are called substations. Now, they're not like the American substations. They're not big motherfuckers attached to pylons and everything. They're almost like little boxes that live, you know, in a quiet corner of a you know, bush kind of thing, right? Anyway, so most substations probably only farm 1 or 2 streets, right? Or maybe a handful. It's literally a handful. It's nothing, you know, it's not, you know, we're not talking large areas. We are talking handfuls of areas. That's part of the reason they can identify where it is more quickly, because, well, you know, a bit like any tree, if you've got enough nodes down it, you can be quite pinpointy that if this node here hasn't got it, it's either that node or the one above it, and you've only got a choice of 2 things. So they're quite good at that. And obviously, if it's all the things hanging off that, then it's, well, it's not, you know, it's quite quick to diagnose roughly where the problem is. Anyway, where I live now, we got, well, after a couple of years, the power cuts stopped at my old house. And to the point, it would have been a very unusual day to have a power cut. I'd almost say we're overdue here now. Just because we get that many of them. And my internet farted briefly. But it's just kind of weird because quite often it's almost 5 or 6 houses here, the same 5 or 6 houses here, and it's just very frustrating because every time, you know, it will be us, and you'll look at the, because I get a little app that shows me local power cuts and that will notify me. But of course, if I've got no power, this is going to sound really funny because the UK has very good mobile coverage as a whole, except wherever I live. Doesn't matter where I live, phone coverage sucks. My old house, phone coverage outside the house was fine. Phone coverage in the house, next to none. So I had a kind of special device that repeated in the house, and then, well, Vodafone screwed it, so I left Vodafone under a fit of rage, and they tried to screw me for a boatload of money, and it was like, hang on, I didn't buy the phone through you. I took out this contract over 2 years ago. You don't do more than 2 years contract, so I can't owe you money on the contract. So don't you be telling me I owe you 200 quid, because there's no way I do. And, you know, been paying 75 quid a month for this stupid thing that you broke and that you now wash your hands of it. And so I haven't had a service out of you because I don't get a service fee out of you for work either. And so, yeah, there was a bit of an argument, and I ended up paying some, but not a lot, to get out of all of that. But originally, I think they wanted £400. I think I walked away paying 80, so I kind of won on that one. Yeah, over here, so if I don't have any phone signal, I need internet. I have to hook on the Wi-Fi with my phone to get proper signal. Well, then, if I don't have Wi-Fi because there ain't no power, so the router ain't on, I don't really have a phone signal, so I don't really get the message to say there's a power cut, because, well, yeah, so it's a bit catch-22. But I didn't choose to fight them on this. One time when we had quite a big power cut, it was just after I'd had my surgery, and I was a little bit wonky, and the power cut happened, and there was no trace of it anywhere on any of the apps, so I phoned them up, and they kind of go, oh, we've got this house down as a, you know, not quite special needs, but for want of a better phrase, as I'm using it on myself, it was kind of like a, you know, needs, you know, has concerns. And I said, you know, because obviously I am absolutely without contact when the power goes. And so they kept the, not quite emergency care, but the priority kind of thing, to the point on that day, I got 3 phone calls from them, because originally it was like, oh, I'll be back up by lunchtime. Yeah. Well, come lunchtime, when that wasn't going to happen, they phoned me to apologise. So I'm not going to knock it, because, well, I mean, at 2 o'clock in the morning I might want to, but it is quite nice to be, to make that, because they make sure that, you know, because I work from home and, you know, obviously all those kind of things, that, and I don't get panic attacks, but I do get very anxious, and as you know, I'm a bit weird, so, you know, sometimes I'll just kind of go, yeah, it's a power cut, yeah, whatever, and other times it's the end of the world. And so it is quite nice that, you know, I know they've kind of got me should the problems arise. But it doesn't seem to mean that they actually get to me any quicker, if you know what I mean. But we do have, I do have an app that effectively should go off should the thing arise. And I believe my phone actually almost notifies them if it's aware of a power cut. So, if all the Wi-Fi signal drops, I think it sends out a help, I'm being repressed kind of thing. Which is good, because it does seem to be pretty quick on the old, because quite often, a bit like Christy, I guess, there is an element of they half wait for the public to tell them there's a problem. I think it depends what the problem is, to be honest. But one of the things we have noticed is there was a lot of rain last year at some point, and the cabinet got partly underwater. And the people who were above the water had power. The people below the water did not. So we think that was part of it. We must be on the lower portion that gets wet. But it does seem to be a constant battle to actually have power here. But not as bad as Christie's, admittedly. But I do understand how frustrating it gets, though. Because there's nothing you can do about it. Could get a generator, but I don't know if we're allowed them, actually. I'm sure we are, but I don't know if we are. Got no proof. And then you've got to store the stuff for the generator, and then you'd be marked as a fire hazard, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I can see it being a bit of a two-edged sword. Stuck on this thing. Itch. So yeah, got the itches. Yeah. I mean, it always does seem that for us, you know, because let's face it, power hardly ever seems to go out 9 till 2 in the afternoon because, well, chances are you don't need half as much of it then. You know, 9 times out of 10, the power goes out in the evening when it's dark. Not in the middle of summer when it's nice and bright. In the winter, when it's cold, dark, wet, miserable, and you're left sitting there like a sad act, huddled around a candle. So yeah, I do have a lot of sympathy. Our crews do get the stuff, but I don't know. It does just seem that they certainly could do a lot more. I mean, there are ground crews, there are people who go out and do all of that, but 9 times out of 10, if my house was here, and like you know, obviously there's a road, but my road kind of goes, my house is here, my road goes kind of from my house out, and then joins a slightly bigger road, that then curves around and joins another road, which joins a really bigger road. Our substation seems to be out my back garden, across half a field, across some woman's house who she's moved out. So apparently Bailey has moved out now. But so Bailey and his mum and the other dogs that live there, because it has been a lot quieter, I'm not going to lie. Behind her garden is the power station, is the little substation. And, well, part of the reason she's moved out is because her house is dilapidated, and I assume she was renting it. Because of something my neighbour said when she told me that the lady was moving out. She said something along the lines of, she's moving out because they won't, you know, it's not worth the upkeep, and she can't afford, you know, the landlord wouldn't update it. So, I mean, she had a cesspit and everything. And in 2020, you know, let's truly be honest, she was not miles from civilization. They should have been able to sort something a bit better than that. But she seems to have moved out. And I haven't gone looking to see if it's up for rent, sale, or otherwise. Because to be honest, to a large extent, it looks like it should be a lovely place to live. The only thing I would say is the internet there would be even shitter, and I don't think I could handle that. The reason I know the internet would be shitter, well, her phone cable goes across my garden. It's one of these bits of wire dangling and goes through a couple of trees, and so basically if the tree grows too much, she loses phone. Well, if she has indeed moved out, but I haven't heard the mating calls of Maylie for a couple of weeks now, and I don't miss it. I miss it like I don't have a hole in the head missing it. In that it's lovely and quiet. Because her voice did cut through everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, so does mine. So, you know, if I was out there and yelling Bailey, the whole freaking county would know about it. But mainly because my voice carries like nothing else. I don't know whether I've just got the right resonance or whatever, but my voice carries. If I'm up a hill and I yell for the dog, you can literally see people for like half a mile. I don't even have to yell that loud. But if I sneeze, yell for the dog, heads turn for a long distance. And then if I scream at the dog, yeah. You know, there's almost reports in the news. You know, it's kind of, I just have a voice that does that, I'm afraid. So, yeah, but it is one of those things, it is quite nice. Well, especially with weather warming up, because then the door will be open a bit more. And the last thing I need to hear all fucking weekend or whatever is, Bailey, you know, because, I mean, it wouldn't, calling your dog, no one has a problem with calling your dog. I mean, I'm a dog owner, I have been for pretty much most of my life, but it was literally, Bailey. First of all, call your dog. If it doesn't come, call your dog once more. If it doesn't move, on the second one, go and get the fucker. That's how it works. Unless it was coming back and got sidetracked, then you're kind of allowed to reset. But if it doesn't move, which hers didn't, you could, shouting's not helping nobody. Go and get it. Go and get the damn dog. And, well, yeah. I don't know where she's moved to. Don't really mind. But it was always awkward because people looking for the substation would come in our road and be really confused because, well, my house was here and they're kind of expecting a field. And, well, there is that. First of all, teach your dog to come. Secondly, I mean, don't get me wrong, Rory and Amy, if they're really into something, don't want to come. But I'm not going to do it. But if you kind of do the thing, so they both slept through that. So if you didn't hear that, I apologise. But I tried. And you do a bit of this, I get 2 dogs. It's that simple. Because the idea of eating is nearly always greater than the can I say hello to some bloke up a ladder, or the sniff. I do think if they found a rabbit and they were chasing that, I'd probably be on the losing end of that one. But then if they were chasing a rabbit, I probably wouldn't be able to catch them either. So, but yeah, you have to kind of teach them that coming to you is the more profitable experience, you know? And some of that is you didn't do as you were told, and some of that is congratulations for doing what you were told. Here is a reward. Yeah. But yes. Well, there is that. If they actually catch it, yeah. I mean, to be honest, if they caught it, I'd clean it and they can have it. But, they've got to catch it, you know. And not just frighten the crap out of it, you know. Right, that's as far as that's going without getting complicated. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Do now is roll this up a bit. And still you a few pins there from getting tangled. Actually, we'll still a couple more just to help a little bit. Because there you go, that's a bit better. Right, then we can chunk and we'll grab you. And we're going to need some of you. Yeah, you look like you've fallen off. No, you haven't, you've just been annoying. Two of you. We kind of really. I know what we should do, what we could do. Before we do that, let me take you. Come this way. No, you stop there because I now need to do this bit. So, Oh, that was a bit of a waste of life then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hit you. Okay, back on the stick. That was barely worth it. I could have waited, but never mind. It's okay. You go for that. Go for that. And we need you. Can't remember what I was watching. I was watching a lace making YouTube thing, and the girl doing it did something that I found really confusing. Now Chrissy might understand this. So she was doing, much like the first top half of these is cloth stitch, you work, you know, from one side to the other. So like I've just done, these two are going to go over the next 3 pairs. But what this girl did was she only took one of them. Only one. So if this was going to be, you know, a section across cloth stitch, she'd take one over there, do the twisty twisty, and bring one back. That confused the crap out of me. I mean, one thing I will say as a weaver is that if you're doing cloth stitch downwards, obviously you effectively skip 2 rows. But well, you skip a row, do a row, skip a row, do a row, because obviously the row that you skip is the returning row that meets you back to where your pinhole is. But it is one of those things is that I was trying to work out how she was only ever ending up with one bobbin that moved across. It didn't make any sense to me. No, it wasn't. It wasn't half stitch. That was the stupid part. She was ending up with cloth stitch. So she obviously did one thread that way and then one coming back. So if she'd gone under it the row above, she went over it on the return journey. But she was doing one. So it was much more spaced out lengthwise. But she, you know, in effect, she wasn't keeping her pairs together. I don't know whether she knew she was doing that or whether it was intentional, but it wasn't half stitch. It sounds a lot like half stitch, but it didn't have, because obviously half stitch is, well, if I grab these two for a minute, half stitch would be cross, twist, stop, right? She didn't do that. She seemed to faff around a lot, but it was only one thread that was going across. And hi, Tench, how you doing, my friend? Yeah, me too, because it was a while ago and I've forgotten. But it was one of those things is that when doing a big amount of cloth stitch, my brain went, yeah, I still wonder what that woman was doing, Awesome. Not so much, but it's fine. Well, world is still turning. Life has not, imploded or anything. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I could complain about it for a month of Sundays, but it's okay. It's okay. It could be worse. Definitely could be worse. Not going to argue that. So. Yeah. Christy's had a hard week, that's for sure. I'm just sulking because I got... I didn't get credit for all of the work I did last month, so... just checking my phone to see if that... The one thing I really hate... so I can't show you that bit. I'll show you that, right? Oh, but you haven't filled in your timesheet. Bear in mind, this was sent at 9 o'clock this morning for yesterday. One day. Get over it, Sharon. We get so many wretched chasing. This could be interesting. Hang on. Let me quickly look at this because it could or might not. Just show us the numbers, Sharon. Come on. Come on. Jesus Christ. Open this. No, can't do that. No. Okay. See, that doesn't make sense. Please explain the following logic to me. So, at the start of the year, they overachieved by 581k the target. In February, they did underachieve slightly, but they've listed it as 110%. So how come we've only achieved 34% this year? Let's not do that maths in our head. So if you made targets, but you... So if you exceeded targets, but somehow you didn't exceed targets, you haven't made a third of what you should have done. I'm good at maths, or good enough, and that is not the answer. Right. Let me take you and do you. Oh. That's not right. This is. Yeah. Oh. Sitting on the edge of this wretched couch again. For the same reason as last week, because there is a little black dog sitting behind me. How are we doing? Well, I've still got a fair way to go. Don't need to be worrying about sewing the next bit in yet. It's right, when I disturbed it, I thought for some sort of horrible reason that I was really close to the end, but I'm not that close to the end. It's just it's not sitting on the pillow properly because we let it get a little bit high. So that's the reason why, is that's not quite pushed down. That's not flat against the pillow like it should be. Sleeping the other end of the couch, just over there. She is sleeping. Oh. She's made a nest amongst her little cushions, haven't you? Miss? Yes, you have come here then. Now, we've talked about you. Hello. Oh, yawn. Oh, dear me. Nothing yawns more than a dog who's slept all frigging day. You did this a lot this week, didn't you? Well, I did long-ass working days. You slept a lot and then yawned and sighed like it was you doing all the work. Yawn? Yes, I know. I know. Hey. Little one. You're a good girl sometimes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You can be. That's the important thing. You can be. Yes. Going back into our little nest. Got to trample the grass. Yes, I know you feel self-conscious every time I say that, don't you? No. She's looking at me with going... It's a bit like someone who's trying to have a pee in a field somewhere and you're watching and she's kind of looking at you with, you done watching yet? No, got to turn around the other way, haven't you? Yeah, there you go. Trample, trample. Trample, trample. There you go. Do you know if you just lay down, the cushions have not moved? Yeah, she's going to ignore me now. I mean, I know that dogs as a whole don't speak English, but they certainly recognise tones. They recognise common words such as nugget, and you should have seen the look on their face when my co-worker says, well, you know, if because they were getting a bit annoying and trying to stand on my work laptop and all sorts of things. And he actually said, you know, well, if you behave, I'll give you nuggets. And they kind of went, nuggets? Where? So they do know, they do know what some things mean. Or at least they equate the sound to an outcome, which realistically is all we do too. If you think about it, the words that we have are just sounds. The words themselves only have meaning because we give them one. Hence, there are different languages. While certain words mean certain things and, you know, all of that kind of rubbish, the truth of the matter is we have grown accustomed to that sound meaning this. It is no more than that. And so, yeah, they clearly do, they do have some level of recognition. So I'm watching the mic keeps going red, and I'm let's try that. Anyway, so they do have a level of recognition. They do have all of that, but she gets really put out. See, that went red, and it's all the way over there. I'm not even close to the mic. There's got to be half a metre between me and the mic. Let me turn it down just a little bit more then. If I turn it down any more, it's... No, I think what's happening is I'm turning down what you hear, but I'm not turning down the mic. Let's try turning it down here. There we go. I possibly jogged it a little bit when I was fixing the mic earlier. See, it went red again. Oh well, as long as you're not all unhappy with the sound, I suppose that's what matters. But yeah, she is a funny little soul, but she doesn't half look really put out when I talk about trampling the grass. She gets, you know, it's a bit like I've called her ass fat, you know. She does have this kind of look on her face of, how dare you bring that up in public, you know. Now, I do really want to try and push this down a little more. I need a pushing thing. What can I use as a pushing thing? Let's try this. Yes, it's an Allen key. It's a bit fat, actually. But I wanted something that I could potentially put in here and push down to try and flatten it out a little bit nearer the front, to try and because it's sitting quite proud. I mean, without trying, that's how proud it's got off the which will affect arguably its tension. This, of course, is why we normally pin them down, but when you're working around like this, it's not overly viable. I need something a little bit more pokey. I've got a fatter one that I can do this with. I've got more than one of these, actually. Push my pin down. Yeah. Still not ideal. That's looking a little better. There we go. Getting somewhere now. It's a bit like one of those, if you press one end, it's a bit like one of those puzzles where if you press button one, you know, two others come up kind of thing. It's a bit like that, but it is a little flatter now. It was flatter, but then I touched the other side and then it kind of came up again. So, where's another one? I've got more of these than I can shake a stick at the moment. For lo, there is another one. Let's try and hold you down and push you down at the same time. There we go. Then we can kind of I've got like 3 sizes of them, and I've got about 4 sets of them. So I have plenty. Got strings going through pins they shouldn't, but that's definitely better than it was. That's definitely better than it was. Right. So I've got 3 of you, and you are from where? And are you supposed to be there? And you... I know I was just trying to do something, which is why have I done it, because that's when I realised how bad it was, so let's do that. Yeah, it's much nearer the... It's not perfect, but it'll do. It'll do. Saw you do that. I didn't twist them, so I'm an idiot. Let's undo all of that. Let's try this again. Let's actually twist them this time. Because I'm stupid again. At least we noticed before it's far too late. Oh. And because we're still here, we might as well. I won't need you for a minute, so you're good. Let's let's take these two out because, well, let's put you down here out the way and get two of you because I've got more of these big ones, so it seems stupid that I'm using the little ones when I got proper ones. Yeah. Let's put that down a bit more so it's got some strength behind it. Right. There, like that. You are out the way. You are good. Pop you over here. Grab you. That's mated round at the top of this. It's got stuck on the little bobble at the top. Yeah. There it is. Sorry. One more. Let me go. Because you are at a funny angle. You have. You are all dealt with. It is you that is to be done. So for some reason I thought that pin had snapped. In my head it looked really short. Oh, my leg and my hip. Just realising something. How? I need to do this spider here. I dismissed it, but now I realise I need to do it, so. Well, time for a bit of drinky drink, which is good for all of us. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That works out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Just so happened it was the perfect amount. Yeah. You again. Oh, and as a reminder, it's the Monsters and Memories playtest. So I think it's all weekend, but it's certainly tonight, I think it's tonight. Hang on. We can check. One event starts today in an hour and a bit. Hour and 20 minutes. So. Well, every day, but today has been a 12-hour day instead of 8. And in short, due to a number of reasons, most of them avoidable, in my humble opinion, obviously, we are working on a project that was known about this time last year that no one did any actions from that I can see. Therefore, from my point of view, it feels somewhat avoidable. But they decided that we needed to move one application into let's call it a DMZ, but into a bubble. And as part of that, they didn't want certain traffic going through the firewalls, so they wanted new servers built to host certain aspects of rather than sharing with others, so it had to have its own. And I was asked how long to build a bunch of Oracle rack clusters, and I said 2 weeks, one for prod, one for non-prod. And my co-worker said 3 weeks each, one for prod, one for non-prod. And well, let's put it this way. Middle of this week, they moved some of the app servers that were just moving into the bubble. So it's now going through all the firewall. This is for non-prod, I will point out. However, there were lots in there that the apps team had no idea would stop working and all the rest of it. So yeah. Yeah. And I've kind of, so I've managed to do my 2 weeks worth of work in 2 days. I have now been supporting my co-worker do his stuff because it's normally him and a friend. And, well, we got rid of his friend. Well, they got rid of his friend last year. So we are both singles rather than having friends. And it was the same friend. We shared a friend. But it meant that there were, you could do lots of this while someone kept the day-to-day stuff working. We haven't got that anymore. But we have basically managed to get most of, I'm going to say 2/3 of his stuff and all of mine done in a week. So we've condensed basically 6 weeks worth of work to 4.5 days. And not hearing any thank yous. Let's just say that. And so we're today we didn't push as hard. Yeah, I mean, the fact that we managed to pull out and managed to get things sorted because we planned ahead, we thought of lots of things, we did a lot of preparation, If someone said, on Monday, for example, here's some servers, build them, I'm not sure I could pull it around again. Part of the reason for this is we knew this was coming because we were ordering hardware, and part of the reason for the delays is, even though we knew we needed new hardware last year, we ordered it about 3 weeks ago, and it arrived. Some of it arrived last week. The rest of it arrived this week, and they were pissy because Dell couldn't turn it around in 2 weeks. Normally their lead time is 60 to 90 days. Well, if you'd ordered it last year, in short, I do feel some of the delays have been avoidable. We still don't have licenses, so that's a whole new story. But we've not had confirmation of licenses. I've had to reinvent how one of our thing works because some of the licenses they did order 2.5 weeks later still haven't come in, and so I couldn't install it and make it work. And we needed to do it, so I found a way around that doesn't need licenses, and we will be using New Way in the future. because it doesn't cost money and need licensing. And it's not a bit of string tin can job that I've hatcheted together. It is an official thing, and in fact, more how the rest of the company do it. But when I started, the rest of the company didn't have a documented way of doing it, and we followed what our architect at the time said he wanted us to use, so we used a product, and it was free. And then a few years ago, no, you can't use free stuff, you have to use real stuff. Okay, what do you want to do? And me and my co-worker, who was helping me with Unix at the time, we kind of looked at each other and went, well, there's a paid version of this, we're used to this, why would we dig ourselves a bigger hole? So we went, we'll have the paid version. And the company went, that's perfectly fine, we understand, and went off and bought it. The problem is some of the work we're doing means that they need to change their licenses because we'll have more than one domain. And, well, the new domain shit didn't come through. And in fact, earlier this year, one Sunday, I knew for a fact that by the time I got to work on Monday, none of the servers would work because the license ran out midnight on the Sunday. It's not my fault they didn't buy them. Apparently they had bought them and it was sitting in someone's mailbox. So, when everything stopped working and no one could log into anything, I just kind of went, well, I got codes. And they went, oh, and forwarded me the codes. And I spent a while applying codes to 180 odd machines. And suddenly people could get back in again. So that was fun. But my new method does not have codes, so it won't stop working randomly. I mean, it might still stop working randomly, but a reboot will probably fix it, rather than it will time out, have a code, not be this, we'll get forgotten for that. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. And it was quite funny because when I posed it, I did some Googling, found a thing, read it, realised that's how the other teams had probably done it, because it was using the product that they use. And so I gave it a go, proved that it worked for me, and that I knew, I could make it work. And I posted it. And I asked our architect, and he went, it's not my decision. So I asked the guy who bought the licensing, and he went, it's not my call, but I object. Well, if it's not your call, surely you don't get a say. That's a bit like me going, one of you saying to me, I'm going to go and buy these green trainers. And me going, I object to that. That's horrible. It's not my damn business. I can object to all I like. It doesn't make any difference. But a lot of appeasing was done. Everyone else was for it. This particular person wasn't. But meeting was had. They obviously told him to shut up or something. I don't know. And anyway, very shortly afterwards, yeah. So hence we've been able to do some work. Otherwise, we'd just be sitting waiting for licensing. And, well, let's put it this way. I think they go live the week after Easter. Or is it the Easter week? No, it's the weekend after Easter. Well, if I didn't have licenses, dude wouldn't have been able to start his Oracle rack stuff. We'd still be waiting. And, well, Easter's a couple of weekends. Well, Easter's not... I think Easter's next weekend, isn't it? Quickly checking. Yeah, Easter's next weekend. So... And I'm off the week after Easter. Because I've booked the time off work. Because, well, frankly, I want some sleep. And some food. Exactly. And, if he's... And let's say he hadn't been able to... And given that he needed me to do a lot of it... Well, let's say the licenses came through Wednesday next week, right? Well, that gives him a day and a half, and then I'm on holiday. It's not very long, is it? And, well, if you'd fudged up the server, kebab for dinner. But yeah, I've not been eating too well the last couple of days because I've been working, and so it's been kind of mainly a sugar-based diet. I'm not gonna pretend that that's not a thing. I've definitely eaten an awful lot of non-generically acceptable food products. So I don't know if you've heard of them. I don't know if it's a British thing or not. We have a thing called refresher bars, and basically they're a chewy thing with kind of sherbet in the middle, and I must have eaten a good 60 of those this week. Peanut brittle, quite a few flapjacks. I did have a chicken tikka wrap, so there was actual food. And I didn't have any vegetables this week. No vegetables this week. I did have a burger on, was it Wednesday or Tuesday? Tuesday, because it was discount Tuesday, so it was Tuesday. Seem to recall having sausages and stuff one day that I cooked. But I think that's pretty much the only actual meal I've cooked this week. So I've had 2 meals this week. Now, I can afford to skip meals. Do not fear. I have spare. I can afford to skip a meal. But tonight is definitely looking like a kebab night out. I was thinking about it earlier, and my brain was thinking, I really want a kebab. Really want a kebab. For those who are not sure, kebabs in the UK, because kebab is not a global thing, right? Now, there are many types of kebab, because we have multi-nations. It is the kind of kebab situation, and more to the point, the end of this week, you know, having got to all of that, my co-worker has jokingly said, you know, because he's on holiday end of next month, that he's going to go to New York and buy a bottle of champagne. Bear in mind, he drinks nearly as much as I do. Actually, I think he drinks slightly more than I do, which is, he probably drinks once a year. I don't normally do that, but as I said to him, I think it was last night, I said, it's feeling like I need a beer. You know? So I actually think kebab and beer, believe it or not, I do have beer, a couple of bottles of beer in the fridge. I just don't drink them because I have no call to drink. But I do have a couple of very piss-worthy beers, which are very light, very barely alcoholic. But I do feel that surviving the week is worthy of kind of going to town for a little bit. So kebab, grab a bottle of beer out the fridge. Might be a thing, but he as he said, you know, because of all the extra overtime we've been doing, you know, boss will have paid for it. He's hoping to upgrade his flights to first class and buy a bottle of champers all on the overtime that he's got for this month. It should be. I will check. I mean, I'm not, well, as long as it's close enough, it'll be fine. It should be. It should be, Chrissy. I think it's only been there a year or so, so it should be all right. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's how often I don't drink, right? I really am. I really don't. But I feel that it is a worthy occasion of chilling out, sitting down, doing not a lot, watching a bit of telly, answering questions in Monsters and Memories, because that's probably all I'll do tonight, and having a couple of beers, because I've got buttons for Monsters and Memories, so, you know, it's not that difficult, because nearly all the questions you end up answering are the same bloody questions. Why does that say 3? I've dropped some frames, that's what it is. It's right, my thing's flashing red at me, and the answer is I think I dropped some frames. What are you expecting me to do about it? I don't know. It says 3. I'm trying to remember what that button usually is. It's still flashing through at me. What am I supposed to do about it? What is that button? Let me go see what that button is, because it says 3, and I want to know what the 3 is about, because it's been a while. What is it? It is drop frames. So let's pick. Apparently I haven't got a num lock on. Shit, didn't mean to do that. Shit. Press the wrong button. Hang on. Now loads of things aren't going to work. Hang on. I've just killed my buttons because it had a reset button and I thought it was reset the counter and it's not. It's reset the whole chuffing thing. Not all the buttons. The connectivity between it and the thing that it was talking to. Hang on. Let me check which thing it was. Oh, between that and that. Okay, so. No. Okay. Yes. Okay. Copy that password. Cancel out of there. Because I'll fudge that up. Did that good. So, somewhere around here. There's another one down there. It is. That's the password because it's forgotten it. That's not what I copied and pasted. Oh, Jesus, computers. There we go. Right, let's sort that out. Sorry about that. Alright. It's weird because it was flashing 3 at me, but according to OBS, I've dropped 337 packets since I started. But it was the fact that there was a 3 sitting flashing at me, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter if 3, if over the course of an hour 3 whole packets have gone walkabout, that's not really a problem. It's when you've got, a bunch in a row that you have a problem. So, and it doesn't seem to go, oh, it's all right now, and reset to 0. It just got to 3, and that was it. It was sitting there flashing 3 at me in red and kind of sounding really miserable. So it was kind of distracting. So yeah. Oh, what ifs. But yes, it definitely is a kebab sounding day. For the end of a long week, especially, as Tenchi will appreciate, having found out that for the extra hours I did last month, I didn't get the money for it. The kebab definitely sounds in order. Definitely like the sound of a kebab. So, that definitely seems to be a good thing to be trying for. Should definitely aim for a kebab today. Right. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. You're over here too. Right. You're off. Now, I need to do a bit of this. So let's pick you up, extract you out of those pins, and unbend this somewhat. Problem is these are brass, and brass bends. They need to be better than that. You can get straightening things, not necessarily for bends, but you can get straightening things, because there's YouTube videos, as there is for pretty much everything these days. There are YouTube videos that show you put in like this bent rod, and it kind of, obviously it's a bit like a cone in that it allows a bit of movement, but it gradually gets these, so, and it gets pulled through, and of course it straightens it, which of course it would do. So, you know, it's quite clever really. I need to make one for pins. Save the pins. Yeah. Let's have a look at you, check your, where you're supposed to be. Right, you go there, that looks right. No, that doesn't look right, because you are on the edge. So let's have a quick look. That is that. You two go around the edge that way. So that's that. That's good. You're all where you should be then. That's nice. 1, 2, 3. You 3. And some twists. Oh. And then we need 2 of you. Like that. And we will put you over there, and you kind of over there to make a bit more space, because, well, you all now needs to be a bit longer really. That's what I'm feeling. Could do it being a bit longer. Just kept straight off, you miserable thing. So has anyone got any music earworms that have stuck in their brain this week? Because I've got 2, and they're not good. I want someone to come up with a worse one than the ones I've got. Hello! Hello, hello! Oh, oh, eep, oh, eep. Oh. Hello, hello. Welcome to the channel. Oh, excuse me. My butt's going to sleep because the dog's hogging the spot on the couch and I'm sitting on the edge where all the kind of wooden bits is. And it's a well-known fact. No matter how podgy you are, no matter how skinny you are, you sit on a hard edge thing and your butt goes to sleep. It doesn't seem to matter. I swear, if you put one of the My £600 contestants on like a church pew, their butt would go to sleep and it would feel bony because it just seems to be the way of life. The bone only ever seems to be, just the other side of the skin. Oh, it would be helpful if the dog moved, of course. But he's not going to, so. I have 2 fluffy dogs, but I only have one that's currently in the way. No, so I have, I definitely have 2 that are kind of floating around. One is the K-pop Demon Hunters, which is shit. And the other one is the Dragon a Day, which don't need that in there either. Could do without that. That's not what my brain needs right now. Don't be needing that. So I have got the extra crosses there. I've got the extra crosses there, so that's good. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, everyone's long enough. Let's get on with it. So yeah, I could do without that. What I will say is very close to inch 13. Oh. I think that's always the problem, is that, when you realise that your brain's kind of struggling with everything, you just need a bit of time for it to sort it out. But the problem is finding the time to do that can be very difficult. Obviously, like I've said, my brain struggled a bit with this week, and I am hoping that, tonight, stroke over the weekend, I will have a bit more sleep, and because I haven't slept enough. It's generally been 3 in the morning till I've actually got to sleep. So then I wake up and do a 12-hour day, and it's just, it's just seemed that this week was phenomenally long. So I do know what you mean. I just kind of want, but as I said, not next week, obviously, but the week after, I have the week off work. So hopefully, if nothing else, I only have to hang on another week and then I get a week to... But we all know what will happen with my week off, because this is to all people who work in the office. I know you'll understand this. You take a week off from the office and you have all this great list of stuff that you were going to do. You get most of it not done at all, and the week is over and now you're more tired than when you started. That's usually how my weeks off go. So... but there are things I definitely need to do. There are a couple of things I desperately want to try and sort out a bit more. But I've got to get around to it. I've got to get on with it. I've got to stop procrastinating and doing other things. The most annoying thing is it's a friend's birthday this coming week. And that cross stitch I started, which when I started, I managed to get like most of the top... I don't know, let's say inch done, and I thought, right, great, I'll be on track then to finish for her birthday. Done like another inch. So clearly that didn't happen. But I want to try and do a bit of that tonight as well. Yeah, a bit annoyed with that. Not having done enough of that. So, but I shall do some more of that. Oh, Rory's having a dream. He's kicking me in the butt. You all right there, Rory? Oh, I've done lots of spinning. I love spinning. I just haven't done any for a while because I'm too busy doing all the other things that I'm doing. But I love spinning. Absolutely love spinning. Spinning is actually quite good. Yeah, spinning actually is one of the... I mean, for most of us who do crafty hobbies, we do it because we love it, but it also can be very frustrating while you're doing it. So much like this, when you make a mistake, it's really heartbreaking. Oh, that'll be awkward. Cotton is not easy to spin with, I ought to tell you. But what you can do to practice spinning is go down your charity shop, pick up some ugly yarn balls that you wouldn't touch if your life was worth it, right? Doesn't matter how much of them there are, just grab a handful of ugly yarn. In fact, the more ugly and horrific it is, the better, because that you won't be heartbroken if you completely mess it up, right? And what you do is you practice unspinning it and spinning it. Now, you obviously don't start with a big pile of fluff. You've got balls of wool. So what you do is you unspin the twist that plied it together, and then you re-put the twist back in. That way you get used to working with it to a large extent. Now, I will warn you now, like all things, when you start spinning, you will have a lot of practice of setting up your wheel, because you will go, whether you do long draw or short draw, or inchworm and voodoo in more colloquial terms. So whether you're doing the spit or right, because you just kind of let go and pray to the gods, right? With a lot of that, even with inchworm, that is, well, frankly, very user-friendly in comparison to voodoo, if you do not work at the correct speed with hands and feet, because it's a bit like patting your tummy and, rubbing your tummy, patting your head and making a beat with your foot, right? Because you must treadle fast enough to keep the wheel moving. But if you do that too fast compared to how fast you're doing this, too much twist gets in here and it can snap, turn into what's known as knicker elastic, where it all just bunches up. So you have to find your flow. Now, the best aim for finding your flow is on an actual wheel would be 1 treadle per heartbeat. Okay. Now, this obviously usually depending on how you wheel set, but if you've got 2 treadles, that's fine. But pick a foot. That foot generally ends up at the same speed as your heartbeat. That is a good guide. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. That's why I said go down your local charity shop and find some ugly yarn balls. Find the seriously most ugly yarn you can find, because that will give you the practice of the movements, unspinning it. Now, obviously, as you unspin it, you've got the complication of winding it into 2 separate balls. If you're going with the drop spindle start, which also is very good, and I do advise it, if you don't have a drop spindle, all you actually arguably need is a knitting needle, okay? Or a crochet hook. Crochet hook would be slightly better. A long crochet hook, because then you've got a hook to attach your knot to. But more spam from work. But in essence, part of the reason the drop spindle is really good, because with a wheel, your wheel will have to do a whole rotation. Otherwise, and you have to do rotations. Otherwise, you have to keep knocking it started off again. If you use a drop spindle, you can roll it on your leg. So you can absolutely determine the speed. Now, it's called drop and roll. There are lots of videos on YouTube for it, and it is a really good way to get started with the drafting and that side of the things. But if you get a wheel and you get going with it, it is a bit of a challenge to get going. So you get quite good at resetting up your wheel. But once you get to a point where you can keep going for a bit, it is actually really quite calming. And more to the point, because to a large extent you rely on feel, you can watch a film. It's a bit like knitting, in that once you've got the hang of it, you can look around and observe the world around you. It's only when you're learning and you're all confused that you kind of need to watch, right? But spinning is actually really quite calming. I think part of the reason I enjoy it, and it's a bit like, once my loom is set up and I have a piece that I can do, stomp, throw, bash is also quite calming, because it is stomp, throw, bash, stomp, throw, bash, stomp, throw, bash. And you get into a rhythm, and you do sit there a bit like a rocking donkey, but you sit there and you kind of do that. And again, you find a rhythm that kind of works with your body. And so that in itself is also quite calming. I don't find this calming because I'm squinting at the stupid threads, the pins, there's lots going on. Now, it's not that there's not lots going on in other hobbies, but I enjoy doing this. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. But tension is always just below the surface. Knitting and crochet for me is very relaxing. Cross stitch is kind of relaxing, but I do find trying to get in a very comfortable position difficult. And it's not because I've picked a really big thing to work on. It's just It's just having the frame. Now, bear in mind, my frame's like 75 centimetres long. Might even be a metre, actually, looking at it. It's got to be close. It's just a bit unwieldy. The dogs really don't like it. I think Rory headbutted it once and decided he didn't like it. And so he gets a bit kind of nervous, won't come on the couch if I've got it. All of that kind of stuff. I think partly because they knocked it over on themselves at one point and that kind of upset them. But all of these things is I'm really pleased you want to try spinning, because I really enjoy it. And of course, one of the things I always said about spinning was I actually enjoy spinning more than I enjoy using the yarn that I made. Not because the yarn I made was horrific, because it wasn't. I mean, some of it actually looked like professional balls of wool. But I enjoyed the spinning process that much more and wished that I'd done it so much sooner. I will say that spinning on camera kind of is really difficult. Because you can't really get a good view of it. Because either you view the wheel going round and round and round, and well, it just goes round and round and round. You can find a 2-minute, you can probably find a little GIF clippy of a spinning wheel going around, because that's all you'll really see. Or you watch the hand view, in which case you can see that, but then not what's coming out the other end. You can have a bobbin view, but again, That's just going to go round and round and get a bit fuller. It's hard to unless you've got like 5 cameras, you know, one on the wheel, one on the hands, one on the, you know, all of this kind of thing. It's going to be a kind of a weird view. It's a bit like streams of knitters. They have to have this overhead view of knitting for you to watch it. If you were just sitting opposite, you know, if they just sat on camera, you know, in front of a fire or whatever, knitting, you can't really see what they're doing. And spinning is definitely one that takes quite a bit of an area to work on. So, especially if, you know, depending on the size of your wheel, it can be quite a large area, to be honest. I've got an Ashford Elizabeth II in my old house. Well, the wheel alone's got like a 32-inch wheel or something ridiculous, 29 or 32-inch wheel on it. So the wheel alone is 32 inches in diameter. Well, then there's the rest of it. Which bit you want to look at? You're not, you know, if I was making thread, but then you don't really see what's going on. What you can see is vaguely a wheel turning in what, and that could just be a clip. You know, that doesn't have to be real. So it's very difficult, I think, to do that well on a stream for sure. Plus, because you're using both hands, I mean, you'd need to set up something like I've got here, where you lot talk in my ear and I can just talk back at you, because there's no way you could respond with these aren't the right holes, are they? That wasn't the right hole. That's the one I want. You know, you could never type back because, you know, you've got your hands full, literally. So it would be a difficult thing to stream, and something I need to do more of, to be honest. But because I do enjoy spinning, and I think that's the problem I have with a lot of the hobbies that I've got, is that I enjoy them all. Now, there are some aspects of some things that I don't enjoy. Sewing ends, absolutely freaking hate sewing ends in both crochet and knitting. But then that's kind of a common normal thing. It's not like anything specific. I don't actually enjoy dressing my loom particularly. Not because of the loom, or I've never enjoyed dressing looms. It seems to I'm a bit of a mung bean when it comes to doing that, and it just seems to take me forever. And so I don't really enjoy that because, well, as I say, it seems to take me forever. So because I've always said that if I was going to, you know, if I want to redress my loom, I almost have to allow a week for it, and that's just ridiculous. It doesn't take a week, but it takes a week in the sense of I can only do a couple of hours tops, and then I have to take a break because I'm sick of the sight of it and in a mood. But in terms of weaving, I can stunk through actual weaving, and I really enjoy that. But you've got to get to that stage before you can enjoy it. And it's a bit like knitting. You can knit the most glorious thing, but once the sewing the ends come in, it seems to take as long to sew the ends in as it did to knit the stupid thing. So it's that kind of thing, when you don't enjoy something, you inevitably take even longer to do it, which means that you remember that section even more. It's not that it does take a huge amount of time, it's just that you manage to drag it. It's like the kid tidying their room. If they just got the heck on with it, an hour later it'll probably be tidy enough that parent would be happy. But a day later, they're still minging about it and, you know, kicking things around and sulking, and it's still not tidy. So the parents are still going, well, you haven't tidied your room. And this is the general way of all these things. I think when we finished all these strips and I've got to sew them together, I will struggle with that, because you've got to be so careful, so delicate, so precise. And I will struggle, and it will take a really long time. Not only because I struggle with it, but because you've got to be that precise with the whole shebang. So I'm not looking forward to it, because of course it will start looking real by then, rather than just strips of lace, right? It will look like a curtain then. But until then, it is just strips. But I am looking forward to it. I really am. But I'm not looking forward to... I'm looking forward to seeing the end product. But to get to the end product, I do have that small hump of sewing to do. But yeah, I find that, I find all of it. There isn't a single hobby that you do that doesn't seem to have one area of downside. And in terms of lace making itself, other than making mistakes and being really annoyed with yourself, pricking holes, spending hours stabbing holes, just really kind of... I mean, we've done it on stream and we've chatted while we do it, and that really does help. A friend of mine always used to say, "Are you busy? Can you come over and talk to me while I do the ironing?" Because it helps the time pass. You don't just stand there dwelling on the fact that you're doing the ironing, right? And I think pricking holes is kind of the same thing. Having you guys to talk to and actually having a conversation while you do it distracts your brain cells a bit while you do it, and it stops it being quite arduous. But pricking holes is definitely... I know arguably you don't need to do them in advance, but it is really helpful if you do. It makes finding the hole to stab it in easier, and it helps because you've done it, without anything else in the way. You can pretty much guarantee a much more even and better result if you have. But at the same time, it's really boring. Because there are a lot of holes, as we worked out. So, it's not ideal. Definitely not ideal. But I think winding bobbins, that's kind of boring too. That kind of goes with the loom prep, though, to be fair. It's the same. It's the prep stuff. It's either the prep stuff or the post stuff. It's never the doing that's the problem. And that is one advantage, I think, of spinning. Spinning, there can be prep stuff, so you can use a blending board and make some pretty colours. Yeah, and and that is the thing. Housework in itself is the most boring activity you can ask me to do, which of course is what I've got to do in my week off, right? I've got to tackle a bit of Mount Crap more. I do need to do a bit of stuff that I have let slide a little bit more than I should, and now there's a bit of a backlog. There is a few things that I want to, in essence, I'm going to do a bit of a spring clean, but the truth of the matter is it is not aided by the fact of, I've got to do it. But because I hate doing it, I will find each and every opportunity of not doing it. I will sleep in and I'll let myself, because, well, I've worked really hard. I get to have a bit of a lie in. Yeah, but lying in till 1 p.m. is not really a bit. It's quite a lot, And then I'll be up playing game at, 2 o'clock in the morning, because you can't really do these things at 2 o'clock in the morning. I live on my own in a house that's not connected to anyone else. If I wanted to hold pretty much a rave in my house at 2 o'clock in the morning, no one would notice. So I don't really have an excuse, but it isn't normal to be doing housework at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, I have painted rooms in my house. Not this one, but I've painted rooms at 2 o'clock in the morning because my brain's gone, let's paint the kitchen. Okay, brain, if you really want to. I've already got the paint. Yeah, I know to count. But it is one of those kind of stupid things. So currently I am playing Monsters and Memories. As a reminder, it's due to start in about 40 minutes for the weekend playtest. I hope some of you will come and join me. Remember, I will be on Trivia. That will make more sense when you get there. And I've been playing Crimson Desert. I keep wanting to say Crimson Dawn, but Crimson Desert, I suck ass at that. I'm enjoying it for the most part, but it's all now got to the point where so many of the things I need to do, I am not good enough at killing the mobs to do it. So I'm kind of stuck because I can't level because I haven't done the boss mobs. And I've kind of killed the trash mobs, but there's only boss mobs left in the area that I'm too weak and weedy to go to the next area. So I'm kind of stuck because I can't go forward, and there isn't really, I mean, there are things to do, but there isn't really that much XP to get where I'm at. And every time I think, oh, maybe I'm a bit better. No, I'm not. They wipe my ass and pin me to the floor. I went somewhere I know I've been before, and found bears today. No worries, Christy. It might be, I think it's all weekend. Is it all weekend? Hang on. It is. Yeah, it's all weekend. It's all weekend. So if you get a chance to join the guys, it would be nice to see you. If you can't, well, you can't. That's the way it is, right? I won't hate on you, but I do like to promote their stuff because I like them and I enjoy the game. I won't be streaming it. That's for sure. I should, but then, I'm not, I totally understand. I totally understand. I mean, I'm not Asmongold. I don't have 20,000 followers. So me streaming it really doesn't make a huge amount of impact into their world. But I do annoy you all with it and feel that I have done. It's a bit like the, hey, hit like and subscribe on YouTube thing, right? Which I don't do. And it is that kind of thing. It's the, I do mention their stuff because I really do think it's worth it. And if you're into those kind of games, which I know Tenchi is. Yeah, I know Tenchi's into that kind of thing because that's where Tenchi and I met. But it is, for me, it is kind of a relaxing game. I mean, all games have got a bit of a frustration and highs and lows and things portioned to it as you try and kill something and maybe it will kill you kind of moment. But at the same time, I do like Monsters and Memories. It's got a good old school feel. They've hit that well. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of whiny people today. But because there always is, to be honest. Can't please everybody. And there was a couple of us in one of the games because, surprisingly enough, not too surprisingly, a number of people, it is generally geeks who play a lot of games, and a bunch of us were talking about, writing games and, who you aim for, because there's been a bit of drama, and we were talking about generally in that direction, but not about it, if you know what I mean. And we were talking about how, lots of people get really upset with some games, because they can, kind of thing. This doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. I don't think it's wrong, it just doesn't look right either. Because, of course, that's going to go off that way. And I think as long as I view that doesn't look wrong. It just looks wrong with... It was just kind of pulling against the other pin. But the more you try and please everybody, the less people you actually please. And sometimes you need to stick to your guns about what you wanted the game to be. Because if you don't believe in your game, you'll never be able to convince someone else to believe in your game. And there are people out there who, in my opinion, will find the most shit dull game and love the heck out of it. Absolutely adore it. And there are games that I'm utterly smitten with, and people will go, well, that's crap. Now, this is because, of course, we're all individuals. And as part of being an individual, what we like will be different. And what I find a lot is that if you've got a game, you're not going to like absolutely all of it. Much like the hobbies, there are good bits and there are bits you enjoy less, but sometimes you have to enjoy less. So, for example, in a lot of the games that I play, death is a thing, right? And it is annoying when you die. It can be really frustrating when you die because you lose experience. You've got to go and get your body back. You've got to go and get all the crap that you were holding. You can't just go, oh, well, I'll leave it because, well, your stuff's still there. So you've got to go back and get it. There really isn't a lot of choice. And by doing that, that annoys a lot of people because they don't want to have to go and get their stuff back. And, you know, they feel that losing some experience by dying is horrendously wrong. Well, but you made a poor judgment. You thought you could achieve something, and you were wrong. That's right, I twisted those too many times. So. That is the price you pay. Now, I don't mind losing some experience, but there is some, and there is a lot. Now, originally, Monsters and Memories was a little harsher than perhaps seemed reasonable, and you lost experience from level 1. Now, you don't lose it from level 5. It's a lot kinder, because obviously early on, you don't kill much to get a level, but as you go up, the more you have to kill to get a level. And so if you're level 5, and, you know, it can take a good while, we're talking hours here, to get levels. If you die once and unlevel, you've got to... It's quite a bit of work to get that back. It's not kill one mob and you're back to where you started. You've got to do like 20 plus, right? So... as a result of that, if things are unfortunate, so right, like all things, there is, most people who play games like this believe in, will tell you a thing called, they call it RNGesus, right? It's the random gods. RNG, standing for random number generator, but the random gods, right? Should they bless you, you can kill many of those mobs and barely lose any health, you know, barely exhaust your mana, and you can have killed loads of them. And then, when the random gods are not in your favour, you come along and go, and the mob goes, and you're dead, and you're like, oh, what a fair. But I've just killed like 20 of your mates, you're the same level, shape and size as your mates, what do you mean I'm dead? And at that point, you start getting a bit knocked off because you've killed probably a couple of hundred of them by this point, and you're sitting there going, well, what made you so special? And you get a bit grumpy. And so lots of people, you know, if you then lose considerable experience from that, that just really adds up to the grumpy factor because people are sitting there going, well, but I've killed like 200 of these. This one for some reason whooped me. And I've now got to spend, you know, another hour or so getting back to where I was. Thank you for the follow. So, you know, it is difficult, I think, to judge a game like, you know, and get the balance of that so that there is the disappointment of dying and the cost of your stupidity, but that it's not so high that people just kind of rage quit and walk away. Now, I am verging on rage quit with Crimson Desert because, as I say, every boss, I go along to Trash Mob and go, and it's dead, right? Great. Go to the boss, and the boss comes along to me and goes, and I'm dead. Oh, I don't seem to have a way to get from there to there, and I've had these problems with a lot of games in the past. And it's clearly a me thing. So, you know, again, I take full responsibility. I'm not going to claim that it's a shit game because I really don't think that it is. In fact, there's a lot of things from a technical standpoint they've done really, really well. But I am terrible when you have, you know, wherever it is, whether you're in kind of like little dungeons and there's a boss mob at the end, or, you know, it's kind of space fighter things where it's taking you along, you know, you're allegedly flying along or up or whatever it is, something, and there'll be a boss mob or mini boss mobs. The moment there's anything with the word boss in it, I suck. And part of the problem, I will say it's not their fault. It is a me thing still. But part of the problem I have is that with Crimson Desert, let's say it introduces you to a new skill. It will come up in the top left-hand corner of your screen, so kind of up about here somewhere. It will say, to activate this skill, you need to do the following. And you're reading it, and it goes, right, step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. Step 3, this, or step 1, this must have happened. It'll give you a 4-step thing, right? The problem is to get past the first two, get the first 2 to happen, it's already gone off your screen. It went off your screen about 5 seconds after it flashed up, and you cannot get it back. If you could bring back, like, past notifications, or view, journal-wise past things, that would help. Because by the time you've got the first 2 working, you've forgotten what 3 and 4 were. So this then means my fighting skills are limited, which, of course, is probably why boss mob kicks my butt. Okay. And it is that frustration to me, is that, I think Crimson Desert has one hell of a lot of options when it comes to fighting. You have multiple weapon types, multiple everything. However, you've got to press shift here, alt there, control with this, WAS and D, and you've got to think about this. You're moving with WAS and D, fine. You're looking with your mouse. Left and right click, one's light attack, one's heavier attack. But you've also got to press Control, Shift, Alt, F, space. I've only got 5 fingers. So if you're trying to go forward and right, well, that's 2 for W and D, right? And then if you're trying to do Alt and space, well, it doesn't really work because, well, it just doesn't. And some of it has been hypothesized is because it was likely designed for a Korean keyboard, and maybe there's a different layout to that. And of course you can remap keys, but you've still got to press 4 keys at once and have it make sense, because you obviously still need directionals, so they're always best in a kind of triangle stroke T shape. Well, but if you're pressing, I mean, you can possibly do WD and space, or WD and Alt and Shift and Control with, but you can't really get this, your little finger underneath to press one of them. It just doesn't kind of line up. Then, of course, there's the tab and control and caps for lock and, lock. Well, one is target, one is lock. And I just don't have that many fingers. So yeah, I do struggle with it, and so I end up basically button mashing, which is why I'm no good at boss mobs, because I'm button mashing. I can't do strategy. I can't try and do the, I've got to wait till he's done this so that I can do that and then hit him, because I'm either already in the middle of something when he does that, and of course it won't do it, or I can't get to the key combo quick enough and I miss my spot. So I absolutely suck. So I basically got to the point of a bunch of boss mobs that I need to kill but can't. Can't really improve anything anymore because I ain't got any of the bits, because you need the bits from the boss mobs to do it. So I'm kind of getting a bit pissed with it. But the graphics on it are amazing. And you see for miles the quality of the graphics. It's not like it's a blurry ass backdrop. It is very detailed. It is really good. It goes. It goes. It's been a long week. Did lots of work this week. Tonight is Monsters and Memories stress test in about 25 minutes. 23 minutes, I think 22 minutes. So I'm going to go and do that, because that's fun. Going to lighten my mood with that. I just realised I've split my nail. I do this a lot I don't know if you can see. No, not really, but you can sort of. My nails do... My nails... Yeah, so it's a good end to the week. Oh, I know what I've got to show you all. Hang on. As you know, I'm doing my cross-stitch thing. And one of the things that helps, or I've found helps, is drawing out the bit that you're going to cross-stitch. Because I'm doing it all in one colour. But drawing out the shape, because it's not a full coverage cross-stitch. It's just do the lines kind of thing. Right, hang on. Just getting rid of this great catchy bit before it catches on all the threads. You know how that goes. I bought these. Doesn't look very exciting, and this one isn't quite what I thought it was. Well, it is, but it's not. I thought this was pink because, well, it's pink, but it's got a white insert. It is a Taylor's chalk mechanical pencil, and they have chalks in various colours: black, red, yellow, or pink, black, pink, and yellow, and white. And this is white, which is slightly irritating, but it's a mechanical pencil, so you can draw on and shade the stitches, and it doesn't really need sharpening or anything like that. And so, because I was watching a video and they were going on about stuff to mark stitches, and they did point out that it is difficult to find the right thing. And yeah. I mean, it even has a little rubber at the end. This is a rubber, so you get quite a bit of rubber, to be fair. Normally you get like this much, and it, you know, you rub something twice and it falls out, but this is quite a decent sized bit of rubber. But these are quite nice, so I bought one of those. So I can colour it, I can draw on the pattern, and then just set about stitching it, rather than trying to count 2 over and does this one go under here or is it the next one over? I can draw it out slowly and colour it and rub it out if I get it a bit wrong and check that it all adds up and do all of those kind of things. So I am actually kind of looking forward to playing with that. It's right, my nail's gone rough again because I just picked it because I'm stupid. So yeah, but yes, it's been a long week. So how are you? How are you? What have you been up to? One thing I can do. Oh, exciting. Exciting. The guy who is lead dude at Monsters and Memories, his wife is a dental lady. She's really nice. She sometimes comes in here. She might be found in here sometimes. Generally keeps quiet, which is fine. But sometimes they're in here. But yeah, she's a dental lady. Well, I wish you luck, and and in my humble opinion, they'd be stupid not to have you. So. I saw that. given that it is nearly time for Monsters and Memories, we have achieved inch 13. Huzzah. I had hoped to do this, to do the motif today. And I am exceptionally close to doing the motif today. But let me just run down here so that we're even closer. Because now I've got all the edge pieces for making the motif. Well, I do now. No. But I feel after this week I deserve to go and play a game. Otherwise I would stay and do the motif. Just to feel a little bit more complete. Because to be fair, by the time we've got to the bottom of the motif, inch 14 really isn't that far away. It's just a little bit of stuff at the side. So it would have been nice, but yeah, apparently not today. But that's okay. That's allowed. So I've got a feeling I borrowed one of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did. So let's grab you back. You in. There. Grab you. You go in there. So you now go over there, and you get to live over here, which is where you should live. We will take a picture, because taking a picture is a good thing. And about there. Let's have a quick look. Look for mistakes, because nothing's screaming. We've said that a few weeks in a row. It's quite scary. Because normally I discover I didn't twist something, but we've been doing well. Which kind of goes along with the fact that because we've been taking our time a bit more, I'm not going to say flippant, but you know, I'm not at the. I know, you know, I'm not sitting there just blasé blaring through it. I am being more mindful because, well, it's been a while, and you know, because I've had a break, I'm obviously thinking just enough, a little bit more, and clearly that's what's needed, given that, well, I haven't fucked up for a few weeks. So yeah, but it is time to patch up for Monsters and Memories. Order a kebab, because Tench is right, it is definitely. Oops, those Allen keys just took a dive off my table. So yeah, Tench is right, it's definitely kebab day, I think. Definitely kebab day. Kebab would be good. I like kebab. Well, playtest, stress test. Let me get you a good link for it, because, well, that's the polite and right thing to do. Copy that. And back to here. Pasty. There we go. So, there's the details of the stress test. If you join me on Trivia, look out for Liz Biscuits. That will be me. I've been called worse things. Apparently, obviously Kimber is very close to something biscuit-wise in Germany. Or just, I mean, to be honest, when I was at school, there was a girl called Michelle Egg. And when we stood too near each other, we were Kinder Egg. So, it could be worse. But it is stress test time. Yeah. So it is time for prepping for stress test, ordering kebabs, getting my buttons ready, because I've got buttons. I've got more buttons now, and yeah, basically eating kebab, Yeah, always the way, isn't it? Always the way. Let me see if there's anyone I can hand you lovely people to today, because that would be... yeah. Let's see. Let's see who we've got today. I'm going to pass you over, and he's doing crochet, so I'm going to send you if you are interested. See that on Monsters and Memories, those are your choices, but I'm going to assume as you're here for crafting things that crafting is your thing. So I'm going to send you to Klesh, who's doing some crochet, because that's the way it